Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, the talking man deranged in the desert who's slightly schizophrenic. Today we are going over an everyday carry episode. Now, if you have watched my channel for a bit, you know that the balaclava variant that I took out a while ago, he was a big fan of everyday carry stuff, and weirdly enough, so am I. I enjoy carrying a firearm. It is relaxing, it is cathartic. People will call you paranoid when you carry a firearm, but I would say that I feel much more at ease when I carry a firearm. I feel relaxed.
And on account to you.
It's been a while since I've done a video on the everyday carry topic because there is some nuances to it, and I am constantly growing in my walk and my journey with everyday carry of firearms. So this is something that at the end of the day, if you are new to firearms, if you are just getting into it, this is something that you can take some knowledge away from and hopefully glean from your own insight. Now, why should you listen to a man deranged on the internet talking about firearms? Well, to be honest, you shouldn't. You shouldn't listen to me. Go listen to some much better people. I am just one man, so take everything I say and do it with a grain of salt. This is just everything that I do for the most part, and I will kind of give you a little bit of the why behind what I do personally. I'm not going to tell you how to do your thing. I assume you're a big boy. I assume you're an adult that knows how to handle business. So with that being said, this is how I like to do what I do. Now, if you, of course, can take away anything from it, good. If not, cool. Maybe we had a good time along the way. So essentially the goal of the video, I'll show you what I carry, what I have carried, and then what I train to, a lot of the thought process to what I do, a little bit of the legal aspect to what we have to deal with when it comes to firearms, and a lot of the gear I like to use and supporting gear as well. So let's dive on in. So why should you carry a firearm every day? What we often call everyday carry, not electric dance carnival like you're used to for EDC, but everyday carry. So the simple answer is to preserve life, right? There are bad people out there that exist, and to be quite frank with you, you can't carry a cop around with you. It's a lot harder to do that, a lot more expensive, a lot more tiring. So the next best option is to personally protect yourself with a firearm.
Call an ambulance! But not for me.
I wish I could have my own fleet of bodyguards protecting me at all times, but that is something for the uber elite. The everyday man does not get that luxury, and it is up to him to protect himself and his family. So you must be well equipped, well armed, and well knowledgeable. So to do that, I figured we could talk about some of the guns that I carry. We'll do some of the drills that I like to shoot, and we get it going. So to kick things off, one of my favorite all-time guns that I always get back to using is going to be the Glock 19. Glock 19 is going to be that sweet spot between the 17 and the 26. It's more of a compact build. I do have a Glock 17. I am a big fan of the Glock 17. I've used the Glock 17 for a very long time, but as far as carrying it around every day, you don't really notice a huge difference when it's in your pants, but for whatever reason, I just love my Glock 19, and the whole compactness of my 19 kind of gets negated when I'm using the Surefire X300. Yeah, there are smaller lights you can use if you're gonna be concealed carrying, but I just love the feeling of having a Surefire X300. Well, I love the light feeling it gives me. I don't like the feeling of it in my pants.
My balls was hot.
But, you know, outside of that, it is very comfy. So I always end up coming back to the Glock 19. I feel very confident shooting it, and I love it very much. Next up, got a Glock 43X. Now, the Glock 43X is gonna be the subcompact version. Cool thing about this bad boy, you have 15 rounds in a Shield Arms mag. You're gonna have to swap out the mag catch to do that. Red dot, weapon light, and it is a very cool compact package. You may think, hey, is that a Glock 19 killer? To me, honestly, after all this time, I would say no. There was talk of the 48s and the 43Xs being like a Glock 19 killer because they hold, like, you can get the same mag capacity. But to be honest with you, I don't think it is. I think that reliability of that fuller size handgun that the 19 is, it's just really, really hard to beat that, because I can, me personally, shoot way better with a 19 than I can with a 43X. Is that a training curve? Maybe. Maybe if I shot thousands and thousands of rounds through that 43X, I could maybe get up to the level of the 19, but then what am I doing to do that? I'm shooting thousands and thousands of rounds out of a subcompact handgun to try and match the skill, maybe not thousand and thousand, but trying to match the skill, right? The skill disparity is gonna be much more expensive. Now, other guns outside of the Glock wheelhouse. I'm a Glock fan, and this all kind of overlaps with other videos done before, but HK P30L from Langdon Tactical. This gun goes hard. I call it the protagonist gun because it's some John Wicky stuff. I carried this gun for a bit for the video. I really enjoyed it. I got it and I was like, am I done with Glocks? When I got it, and I loved it, and it feels great. It's really fun to shoot. It's a treat, right? I enjoy it. This is one of the guns I've carried. This is just another option on the market. Reason I'm showing you these guns is because they're gonna integrate down the road. So then after I got the P30L, I got the Beretta 92 from Langdon Tactical. It is a heavier handgun, all said and done. It is one of the larger handguns that I have, but I did conceal carry it. Thankfully it was during the winter months, because this is gonna go into another topic as well. I'm laying the foundation of this video. Let him cook! I love this gun a lot. It is very awesome to shoot. It's a freaking workhorse. There is a great history behind it. Okay. Now, honorable mentions. If you're wondering what this is, it's an airsoft gun. Yet again, it's going to integrate to the topics later. So then I got the Smith & Wesson 8-shot 357 Magnum. Smith & Wesson sent this over. I know there are some wheel gun guys out there, not many of you, but it's an honorable mention type handgun. And then of course we have a little Airlight J-frame. I like this thing a lot. I've carried this before. It is not the best performer, but how I would equate this to if I wanted to fist fight with a handgun, right? If I needed to defend myself and it's a very interpersonal distance, I feel very confident with it. If it's pushing past like 10 yards, I may be screwed. But it is very comfy to carry, which is important. Now, guns out of the way, right? Interesting stuff out of the way. If you're still watching and not playing Subway Surfer on your phone, I commend thee. Now, what is a big thing about carrying a gun every day? Well, a lot of it has to do with your mindset. So the mindset is you are taking on this responsibility, the civic duty to your fellow man, to your family, to yourself. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, right? I remember talking to guys, and I still do, talking to guys that they want to carry a firearm, but they have this nervousness to it. They're like, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? Honestly, a lot of it comes down to just, you're gonna need to step up a little bit, right? It's gonna be uncomfortable at first. You may think that this thing could go off at any time, but I need you to mature, right? I need you to understand that a man's game requires a man's price. If your Glock does blow your nuts off, guess who's gonna have the lawsuit of the century? Congrats. With that being said, I'm not trying to razz you too much, just that there is this thing to it, right? I've been carrying a gun since I've been 21. I carried a gun professionally for a couple years. I would say it becomes an extension of yourself. And after a while, you're gonna feel naked without it. And I have traveled, I have gone about my day without a firearm, and I hate it. And I usually always feel at ease when I have one on me. And people may criticize you for that, like, oh, why do you need a gun? Well, it's just this thing that, well, I will say, America is such a very peaceful place until it isn't, right? There are instances of crime, mass shootings, things that need to be stopped that are a violent occurrence. You may need to protect your family. The fight isn't over until you're essentially dead, right? That's the kind of mindset you need to have to summarize all of the thoughts going on in my head. Another aspect you have to think about is going to be the legal aspect. So how I would summarize all of it is get a lawyer. If you have to use a weapon in self-defense, it's going to cost a lot of money, but at least you won't be dead, right? That's general consensus. If I could say anything, when the cops do show up, plead the fifth, get your lawyer.
Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
Chances are you're probably going to go to jail anyway because a homicide did occur. So I will say all of that because I can't speak to every situation. Personally, I'm not an expert. I am not an accredited trainer, so I don't want to go too into the weeds, but from what I know, chances are you just plead the fifth, okay? Usually that's the best thing to do when interacting with cops. Now, there are a few more things I want to talk about before we get to that. I've been talking for a bit, so we need to go into a shooting portion. So I say we run let's run some drills. Let's have a good time, run some drills. But before we go into drills, I need to tell you about the channel sponsors. So this video is going to be sponsored by Americana PIPEDREAM Apparel. I'm a big fan of those guys. They are fantastic Zoomers getting it after it in the milsurp world. They do some awesome stuff. They have an awesome collection. A lot of the cool outfits you see on the channel are supplied by Americana PIPEDREAM Apparel. So if you're a milsurp nerd such as myself, go and check those guys out. Give them some love. We also have to thank SDI. Get accredited gunsmith training. Take your firearms knowledge to the next level. So a big thank you to the Sonoran Desert Institute. Links for both companies will be in the description down below. All right, first drill we're gonna do, Glock 19. We're gonna do the Dickens drill. So 10 shots on a silhouette from 40 yards away. Technically it should be a reduced size silhouette, but we'll just go on a regular paper size and we'll go for accuracy as fast as I can. Colton, give me the shot timer. Beep. All right, let's see what we got. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10. Okay, so 10 rounds on my paper. Why is he so short? Don't ask questions. My sticks they keep breaking on me. Don't make it weird, okay? So 10 rounds on paper. I only got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the A zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the Charlie and 1 Delta. So we could be better. I say we try with another gun though. Next up, 40 yards Dickens drill with the Beretta Langdon Tactical. Langdon Tactical Beretta. I can't talk. All right, give me a shot timer. Okay, let's see what our results are. The administrative results. Ah, geez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, turns out I did worse. I did worse than with the Glock 19. Yeah! It's like that meme where it's like, it's always been the Glock 19. Wait, or no, it's like that astronaut meme where he's like, wait, they're all the Glock 19. It's like always has been. That's what it feels like when I shoot the Glock 19. It's always coming home to the gun that I just work the best with. So we did a little bit of shooting. We did a little Dickens drill. Now I gotta talk about the gear that goes along carrying a firearm. So a lot of the most important thing you're gonna need, who talks like that? An idiot, that's who. So one of the most important pieces of kit you're gonna need is gonna be that holster, right? Getting a handgun doesn't do you too good without that holster. A handgun without a holster is like a rifle without a sling. You need something to retain that to your body. Ghetto carrying it really only works for me personally in one instance, is that's gonna be with this Airlight. So the Airlight has a built-in little hook on the pistol grip, or you can conceal carry it. And it is incredibly light, it is incredibly comfy compared to carrying a full-size, say, Langdon Tactical Beretta. But of course, with this comfiness, with this lightness comes the lack of firepower performance. So really, you usually don't get to have your cake and eat it too.
What do you mean by that?
Now, what holsters should I get? Well, I use a variety of holsters. The two big ones are going to be LAS Concealment and T-Rex Arms. So those are the two big ones. A lot of times I end up using LAS, and then for T-Rex Arms, it just depends on what I want, right? Another honorable mention is going to be probably Traditional Arms. They've been a big helper of the channel since I've been getting going, so I wanted to give them a shout out. And there is also a plethora of other great holster companies out there. Tier 1 Concealed, etc., 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 etc. There is no shortage of Kydex on the market. It's kind of nice thing is as a consumer, it's kind of like up to you. And you get to have your preference now. So that is cool. But big two I like to use, LAS and T-Rex Arms. Now, another thing that quickly, of course, you gotta mention for my newbies is going to be your belt. You can't rock a weak belt when you want to carry. You need something sturdy, you need something strong, you need something heavy, you need something long. Belt, okay. So belt I use is going to be the Segura Gear belt. Now, I think it's their Emissary. Which belt is this? Essentially, I just use this Segura Gear belt. I don't know if it's their Emissary belt. I can't remember the model number or model name. In the tactical world, there's like 1,000 different names of shit, and you just need to know you need a sturdy belt. So it doesn't really matter where you get your belt from. This is who I use, so go plan accordingly. Now, the reason you want a good belt is to hold up all that weight in your pants.
Ah, you're teasing me.
Right, getting a weak belt is not gonna be good for you to do that. So, good, sturdy belt. Nice thing is this belt is also relatively lightweight for how sturdy it is, so I do like that. Plenty of other good options out there. All right, now, as far as everyday carry stuff goes, a big important thing you're gonna wanna carry is a tourniquet. Now, to be brutally honest with you, I think I slack on this one the most, / I write it off to car carry. Now, I will say car accidents are something you're probably gonna encounter much more than a violent interaction in your day-to-day life. So plan accordingly. A lot of this is, yet again, man's game requires a man's price. So if you wanna be a responsible citizen, your level is up to you. We kind of see what happens in society now, and the sad thing is when people do try to intervene in society, how it kind of goes for them based on where they're at. You know, people thinking that they're helping, they actually end up going to prison. So that's kind of a sad reality of it. It's kind of creating a society where you only have to look out for yourself and you don't really look out for your fellow man. And if you do try and step up to the plate and take control of the situation, you're gonna end up getting hemmed up by law enforcement, which is not sending a good message to its citizens. So I don't like that. All right, enough talking, let's do some more shooting. All right, do you know what I'm thinking? This is what we should do. We should do a cooker. I'll start out like, I'll go 75 yards away. I'll do a faster run / low sprint in, deaccelerate, and then hit this target. So it'll be like a cooker. Let's get that heart rate up. All right, Cam man, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, hopefully we don't slip and die.
Oh, maybe somebody can! Is that our cameraman?
Wasn't so bad. Stop. Don't. Now, another thing you gotta think about when getting to the legality side of things is going to be even presenting a weapon to search with or address a threat, right? One thing I always harp on is an offhand light. I'm a big fan of having an offhand light to use because you get to address people that are being shady without bringing into the world your deadly force. That is something to consider. So if you have a mod light, a Surefire, or whatever handheld light you have, bringing a gun out and trying to scan and using your Surefire X300 is not the best option. Cops can get away with that thing. You may not be able to get away with that thing because if you are feeling threatened and turns out it's not a threat, that person can go and be like, hey, some dude just gun pointed me to the police, and now you are getting hemmed up for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So a lot of nuances come into carrying a gun, like, for instance, stuff like that, right? So these are things that you need to be cognizant of. Now, another thing that doesn't really get talked about often is going to be carrying a firearm while also trying to look cool or look fashionable. So I do know that fashion is in the eye of the beholder style thing. So there is something to be said, though. There is a universal, like, looks good. So if you're like in shape, you're well-tailored clothing, chances are your outfit's gonna look good on you. With that being said, there are clothes that, by the nature of their being, whatever style you're going for, whatever is stylish for you, those clothing typically by their nature aren't the best at supporting firearms. Now there is like how society wants men to dress, and there is of course how men want to dress, and of course how I want to dress is like in full medieval plate carrier regalia. Alas, that is a lot to wear and put on every day. But with that being said, this is something to think about. Guys, I feel like don't often think about this as much because we do get away with a lot more. I think when it comes to women concealed carrying, I think they are more conscientious of it because, well, they are women.
Women.
So I do want you to be thinking about that. I think of kind of like, what I'm trying to get at is like a James Bond metaphor, right? Where James Bond, he doesn't really carry like the tricked out Glock 19. He's got, you know, the Walther PPK, a very subcompact handgun. It's sleek, it's elegant, it's a 380, very small, and he hides it on his person, and of course he also screws on the suppressor when it's time to go to work, right? He's got the tuxedo and he looks awesome. I'm wearing like a hiking outfit right now because I'm out in the desert and it gets hot. If I'm out and about in normal society, chances are I'm not wearing this, I'm wearing something a little bit more normal. And carrying a full-size handgun or a fuller size handgun like the Glock 19 with a Surefire X300 does get uncomfortable. Comfy guns to carry would be like a Glock 43X, a little bit smaller but still very capable. And like I was saying earlier, the most comfy gun but least capable, probably gonna be an Airlight 38 Special. And that's kind of that trade-off, right? That's something to think about. Do you wanna look cool? Do you wanna have a lot of capability? You can do it. I think you can pull it off. But fashion is important. Looking good, feeling good, being well protected is important. It's all important stuff. There's also an aspect where if you're too dressed like a tactical goober nerd, people that kind of know, like even subconsciously, they may expect you to have some sort of weapon on you. If not a pocket knife, then maybe, you know, a handgun to some capacity. So if you're trying to go for the I'm a gray man look, that may give you away. Now that being said, people are also very much in their own heads. I think there was a thing where Henry Cavill, the guy that plays Superman, was in Times Square and like no one recognized him. It's kind of like people are in their own world. So it's kind of like, it could go both ways, honestly, I think. All right, I've been talking yet again for a long time. ADD break, we must do a shooting drill. I'm thinking 30 yards headshots. All right, fast I can, going for a headshot at 30. Call it out. Let's go check it out. All right, looks like I missed. Yep, that was a miss. All right, ready? Beep. That was a miss. Dang it. All right, I'll get it. I'll get this. I got this. Beep. All right, there we go. Getting on paper. There we go. Now I'm getting her dialed in. So third time's the charm. That kind of shows the importance of training. You may think like, wow, he missed. I don't mind showing you guys me missing because one, I'm human. I don't think of myself as the best shot like in tactical gun tube. It does show the importance of staying proficient on a handgun. And I fully know that there are guys out there that are way better than I am, but yet again, it goes back to getting after it. Training. I love the idea of going to a shooting range and like bringing an airsoft gun. Now in that last drill of me shooting the Glock 19 at 30 yards, going for the headshot, you literally saw in real time the importance of reps. Now reps when it comes to this thing is gonna be kind of where your gravy is because they are gonna allow you to take your handgun skills to the next level. So the thing is though, is that getting out to the range and training often to get certain reps in for what you want may be expensive. So you could do a little time hack by snagging yourself an airsoft Glock, and you can use it with, say, a T-Rex Arms holster. You can use your real weapon light, integrate it, you can have an offset airsoft mag, and you can essentially knock out the reps of, say, all the anything essentially non-accuracy orientated, you could really knock out. Because as much as the Glock does recoil, it doesn't recoil to the same extent of a real Glock, right? You just can't match that. But what you can do is get in those reps of the draw. You can get in those reps of, you know, tack swaps. And of course, also get in reps of reloads. All right, we're gonna do one more drill. In case you're wondering, of course, we are using 124 grain AAC ammo, the ammo sponsor of the channel. So big thank you to those guys. American-made ammunition, very hard to go wrong with that. And they believe in arming the civilian populace with fantastic ammo. So let's do a quick build drill before we move on. You have to call it out for me. I forgot the shot timer. Well, the shot timer's actually broken. Beep. Ah, that felt good, that felt good. I feel alive. All right, so in summary, I guess I'll give you a few things. What kind of gun should you get? In my opinion, if you're balling on a budget and you still value your life, I would say a Glock's pretty good. Whether that be a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, because you can either use it concealed or you can use them with, you know, full kit, right? So, bam. Glock 17, right, or Glock 19. You don't have to get a red dot for it off the rip if you're yet again balling on a budget, but getting one that is cut for red dot is often a good idea because it gives you that option down the road. Next, you're gonna need a good weapon line. I'm a big fan of Surefire X300s. If you're gonna be carrying exclusively concealed, it would probably behoove you to maybe get a more compact light. But if you want it to be like a dual purpose style setup to where you can go between concealed and duty use, Surefire X300 is always a good bet. So those would be my recommendations. You don't need to get some fancy trigger work done. You don't need to do some crazy slide work. Stock guns or stock Glocks work just fine. And then of course, if you acquire more funds and you want to upgrade to different guns or get more guns down the road, hey, that's your life. I don't care what you do. It's just what I would do. Because a lot of guys, they don't think about guns to the same capacity that say you or I may think of. They may be thinking of them as like, hey, I just want to get this and be done with it. So that's what I would do. And that's a pretty solid setup and that's pretty good to go. So yet again, in summary, have a good mindset, be well equipped, be well armed, be well prepared. Know the law, know what to do in case things go sideways. Pretty much get a lawyer. That's what I would say. Gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this content, feel free to like and subscribe. Do all the YouTube jargon. Do all that YouTube cheesiness. Your comments, if you're gonna leave a comment, is a sacrifice to the algorithm. God of what you enjoy is making YouTube videos in the hot Arizona sun during summertime. If you want to support the channel, Patreon and merchandise, excellent ways to support the channel. Patreon has exclusive content as well as early access to videos. There's a Discord. We stay up late. We talk about girls. As always, gentlemen, stay easy, stay breezy. Catch you guys on the flip. There's like no reason to keep shooting like that from that far away. I'm having fun. Sometimes I just want to have fun.